Simon Pittman has been a tech and productivity creator for the last 4 or 5 years and runs the YouTube channel Better Creating. How many subscribers, Simon?
169.
169,000 subscribers to Simon's Better Creating YouTube channel. So there you go. Where he shares tools, strategies, and tutorials on how to leverage technology to create your best life. What a lovely tagline. It's all about creating your best life, eh?
That's where I'm at the moment, yeah.
Excellent. Just wait for another 5 or 6 months, Simon.
Yeah.
You're going to be sleep deprived. And he's a Notion ambassador and one of the leading template creators in the personal productivity space. His flagship template, Notion LifeOS, has over 7,000 users, and he consults on how to grow a solo business around digital products. In his other life, he's a theatre director and still directs a couple of shows a year. So without further ado, Mr. Simon Pittman. Yay.
Okay. Well, I say without further ado.
I think everyone should stand up and move around for a minute, because I'll double that if you want to. Now's the moment, so you don't fall asleep. That's all good. Okay. Just get set up. Have you got the mic on still?
Oh yeah, here you go. Grab that.
Thank you. Great. Right then. Right, okay, there we are. Right. Okay, double computer. So I can see what I'm talking about. Let me just do this, hang on. I'm going to try and live show you some stuff.
You can probably unplug the power of mine.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's
And then I'll have mine for notes. That works, doesn't it? Right, hi everyone. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I thought I'd just share some of my, well first of all, let's just, this mouse, I have no control. Let's just do that. Okay. So, what I wanted to do is, because we're talking about second brains and time management and all of that, I thought I would share some of my favourite strategies and approaches to keeping on top of things, so similar kind of stuff, and then try and link it to some of my favourite ways to optimise what you build in Notion to help do that. So hopefully I'll share maybe one thing you've not heard of a good way of approaching not getting overwhelmed, trying to do the important stuff, staying on top of your system, whether you call it a second brain or a life operating system as I call mine. And then hopefully I'll show you a couple of cool build features. Maybe it's design or it's a way of using databases to make your system better. So it might be a bit of some things could be simple, some things might be the potential that's there once you get the hang of it. To put it simply, essentially my task manager is a projects database and a task database that are related so that you can link a task to a project and collect all those tasks in that project. I also have a life areas database because sometimes I want to put projects and tasks in those life areas. I should start showing it, and one of those is a top of mind life area where I can just quickly link anything to it, or I just want to keep it front and center after one of my community was but that's how I think, so I'll put it in there. And I also have probably the other big one is a goals database, which allows me to track my goals. This is just a demo example. And I've built these, you can go quite far with building these really complex formulas that then give you a kind of UI that gives you the information. So this is kind of excessive building to create a template that I then offer to people, right? So not everyone needs to go this far. But one of my favorite things about Notion is that it can be really powerful, but one of my least favorite things is it can get really overwhelming and too complex too quickly. And so what I've been trying to do, and I think what Notion are trying to do, is find ways to have a kind of user mode where it feels like an app, and then a builder mode where you can build those things if you want to do it. And they actually define Notion audiences. I was speaking to the head of product at an event, and he said we have users, configurers, and builders, and we don't have to be the same people. If you just want to be a user, get someone to build you something, work out the basics, that's fine, or keep it simple. Maybe you want to end up like Merv and I, where we go wild scientist on it and go as far as we can to make things for people, right?
What's the difference between a configurer and a build?
I think a configurer is someone that might get a template or a set of things and kind of adapt it to their needs.
Okay.
So they might configure things in the way they want them, but I think builders are building stuff for people, is a way to put it. But I've gone off script already, so that's good. But yeah, so anyway, I have those things and they link together, and then I create views of those things to manage stuff. So I've spent 3 or 4 years starting from it took me 2 hours to work out how to link a task database to a project database when I started. Watching a YouTube video, it took me forever, and I thought I'm never going to get past this. And now I can build in a couple of hours pretty much a whole workspace, a whole task manager. So it's worth remembering that there's a curve, I think, with these things, right? But I do think that from all of that time, I've seen lots of people feed back on the things I've shared with them. I've worked out things that worked and which didn't, and so some of these I hope will help. I think with any system like this, the simplest one that works for you is the best. I think that it's actually habits and strategies that matter more than the systems that you build. So this is kind of pointless if you don't have a habit and a system of actually using it for yourself. And I also think there's going to never ever be a template or a system that someone else's that will perfectly work for you. And there's never going to be one that's perfect for everyone. So I think you have to steal what works for you. And mostly what I encourage to people when I share this massive template, I mean, it literally is a life operating system. It has everything in it to give you an idea of how big it gets. There's that many dashboards, and then there's just endless databases built within it, which is how a lot of us build. We build these massive databases, and then we create dashboard views in the homepage to make it easy to use, right? But again, I encourage most people to go, just here it all is, delete everything you don't want to use, delete the views within things you don't want to use, and just use what works for you. I've just built as much as I can. Okay, so let's talk about managing tasks and managing your life so you don't get overwhelmed. Number one, have a quick capture system. So we're going to build on this second brain idea. I have a page which is a quick capture inbox, and this is really good. I can do this in here on your phone. Let me just go to a thing. So what's really nice, of course it won't show it. Yes, there we go. There you go. So I have little, you can get the Notion widgets, and so every time an idea or something comes to my mind, I click quick capture inbox, and it will jump to that page, and just in the page at the very bottom, look, there we go, I just drop everything. And then when I come back to this, what I can do is then process it into the system. So the first rule is make it as frictionless as possible. A really nice way to do this on the web is with a thing called Save to Notion. It's a free Chrome extension, and that allows you to build these kind of, you'll see here, these little custom forms, and you can actually fill in specific things, and it will dump it into whatever database you want it to go into. That's another way to do it. And there's a YouTuber called Thomas Frank who's just created something called Flylighter that's even better, apparently. He spent ages developing it, so I think check that out. But that's rule one, is have a quick capture system. And for build tip number one, buttons are brilliant. /button. You can do, when this button is clicked, add a page to the task database with this template and open it inside Peak. Now the reason I like that is it's just UI, because then I can just go new task, it'll pop up. I've used the new layout function to go, is it important or urgent? And you can see it's updating if it's priority or not. And then I can give it a due date or not, but let's just say it's, we've been doing this a lot, haven't we? Just put it in, and I'm done. Yeah, and I can just disappear, and then it's in there.
Sorry, I missed the bit that you said about the button. That was the bit I was most interested in, because I was too busy writing it.
That's okay. So it's just simply create a button, which is when this button is clicked, add something to that database using a template, just so it's formatted, and then open the page inside Peak.
That's really cool.
and then that just means you have this nice little UI, and then I've got all of the things where I can just smack them in.
Yeah, because I'm constantly going back to the nav, finding the page, clicking plus.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's great. And then this is really good. You can mention places and I've created this on every page, which is just a way of navigating around my space. So I can jump to the dashboards and then just use that to go home each time or whatever. So the little things you can do to make it easy. So that's quick capture number one. Moving on. So we've got, and one more little trick, which I think is really good. You can then also, when you type stuff into a page, drag things into things like that, if you want to. So like, let's say that building a shed was a project, I can then, it does that, but it's a nice little trick for just getting stuff out of a quick capture thing. So that's quite fun, okay? And then I have a thing which is basically everything is in an inbox, which is a filtered view until you change it from inbox. So if I press this button, which is a database button, that will essentially filter it out of there, it goes into the system, and that's just because it's changed to not started from inbox. Same for tasks. Okay. 3 questions I think you should ask yourself when you're trying to stay organised. Number 1, where are you going? Number 2, how are you going to, Number 2, where are you going? Number 2, what are you going to do next? Number 3, how are you going to do it? So the first thing, these are the big 3 I think that make a big difference. So I think the first thing for me is where are you going? That's about setting goals. I have a goal system for the year. There's a Bill Gates quote, which is most people underestimate what they could do in a year, overestimate what they could do in a year, and underestimate what they could do in 5 years. I prefer the quote, most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year, because that's kind of what I operate on. So my 2 rules are set yearly goals, which are big and scary, but achievable, and write them as if they've already happened. I have launched a course, or I am someone who prioritizes health and fitness over everything else. Yeah? Put them in your goals, and then within the goal, you can put milestones as tasks, and I can just add tasks into there which link to them and they all go into the system. So it's a nice way to kind of set yourself a set of things and plan it out when you add it in. And so my one day goal is based on the Gary Keller book, The One Thing, and there's a quote from that which is, let me just find where I wrote it down so I can remember what it was. What is the one thing you can do today such that by doing it, everything else will be either easier or unnecessary? It's great. So genuinely, if you could just achieve one thing a day and you time blocked 2 hours to do it, I'm going to be a parent shortly, that's going to be my goal, and you know it's linked to that goal, then it means that you're being effective doing the thing that goes towards the thing you need. And that's why I use this system. It's the strategy that's important, but this allows me to make sure I'm doing it. And so tip number 2 on where are you going is this, which is with templates, with databases, the reason I showed you earlier that I create it all in databases and then create views of them is that I can then have my goals front and center so that I can always be looking at them. So my yearly goals, I have like 3, and since I've been doing this, I can't tell you the difference. Just having 3 goals for the year, 1 for health, 1 for work, 1 for personal life, whatever, it really does make a difference. And then you can tick them off and get that thing. And so the simple thing, just to demo that, is to go / add a table view. I can then, oh, it's doing a new, what am I doing? I've done table, damn it. Hang on, let me just try that again. Why am I not getting that?
Try linked.
Yeah. Linked view of database, find my goals database, and then I can find the views I've built in my database and drop them in. So this is a really nice way to be able to create views and not break what you built originally. So it's something to consider. That's why I've dropped it in there. What's going on? that's goals. What are you doing? So the first habit to form, in my opinion, to be able to work out what to do and when, is to do this thing of like maintaining a system. And my thing for doing that is doing a 20-minute reset every day. So actually by adding 20 minutes to every day, at the end of the day, it's just what you described, to go and look at what I've done, and then go, right, what did I achieve? How far off was I, miles off what I planned? And then working out what I want to do and setting a list for the next day. That is really, really powerful to then actually come in and actually start and go tick. Right? It really, really does make a difference, rather than spending the first half an hour in the morning going, what am I doing today? So I have a task and action view, and this is the power of filtered views. So what I would generally do at the start of a day is I would see this. Great, I've got a list of stuff that I need to be doing. And my time tracker is very simple. It just tracks the whole thing, but you'll see that in a bit. So I can, and I also have a daily priority filter, which is really nice in these views, which means I can just quickly order tasks for the day, so that very quickly they're sorted by that order, and I can see what I need to do. So this is a nice idea. This is the power of systems to show you. And if you're interested in like how it's organising your task list from lots of different pieces of paper, we just have a little filter here, which is where the status is not done or in the inbox, and the due date is on or before today. So it's just going to show me everything that is due today or before. It's not showing me anything without a date. So I also have a view. Oh God. Where's that gone? I also have a view down here for like upcoming and everything else. So every other task that doesn't have a date. Everything for tomorrow. Great. And but then of course what you can also do is view by projects. So I can go into, say, a project, and within that project view you can create your self-filtered view of all the tasks by that project. So it's really just the same system filtered by the pages that you're in, and that's essentially how I would personally approach managing my tasks. I will go into this at the end of a day, filter everything into the system. So I go in and go, let's find a task as an example. What am I doing? I'm getting tired now as well, it's late. And this mouse moves too quick.
Manic mouse.
It's really swift. Right, no, wrong. Okay. So for example, here's my task inbox. Call my mum and feed my cat. So I can go into here, and I can go, okay, calling mum is important and urgent, and I want to do it tomorrow. And I'm going to link it to my goal of being healthy, because it's healthy to call your mum. Great. And then I can see all the reports of what's going on. And if I'm also with these new views, I've got all these things, I can click that and it will add it into the system. Or, so we can go add to system. And I'm going to go and feed my cat. That's just going to be urgent. I'm going to delegate it to someone else. And in fact, I'm going to assign that to Colin to do it instead of me. He's going to actually get that. It's going to be hilarious. Great, I want Colin to do that for me. Great, and then if I'm happy with all the information, it's delegated, it's actionable, there's nothing blocking it, add it to the system. Cleaned it out, and I know it's all going to be there, right? So it means that when I come in the day, I'm able to go to my task manager, and I've gently built this UI, and I can start things. And my time tracker, just because I'm proud of it, is this. So it gives you a little report. I've clicked start, and it says, look, live tracking, you started it at this time. So I did it in a formula. We'll let that run for a bit. And I can see where things are and kind of work my way through the day. Okay, so those are basically the things. I'm using a priority matrix if it's important or urgent. I'm going through my inbox and going, do I do this now? 2 minutes or less, David Allen. Delegate it to someone else, like I just did, or defer it, put it on a certain day I want to do it. And so that habit of a 20-minute reset every day means that I know that I'm checking my goals, looking at everything, putting it together, and I can come in the morning and go, right, what are we doing? It's really hard to keep the habit, but once you actually do it, it's super, super powerful. So yeah, set the daily and yearly goals, do a reset. The only other habit I think you need to manage a system like this is a weekly review, because that only works, right, for the stuff that you've actually set for the day. You might not be someone that wants to set stuff for the day all the time. So this is another little build trick that I thought you might enjoy. Now I might have to, I'll just show you in here. So let's go into the project of, this is just examples. Okay, so in my projects and my life areas and my goals, I have a weekly review system. Now this is the simplest formula I can show you today. So what we have here is I set the last review date. Let's say that was last Friday. And I set the review frequency, which is in days. So let's say I want to review this project every 7 days. And in these hidden properties, I've also got a next review formula, which essentially says add a date, which is the last review date 7 days on in days. So it's gone, last review date that I set, that review frequency number in days, please. And it will add that date, which is March the 21st. Yeah? So what that means is in my little report, I can see it was last reviewed on the 14th. If I now change the set date to be before 7 days from today, the 10th, my report then says review overdue. So I can filter by if it's due for review or not, which is here, a little thing which says next review date is greater than today. And that means I can then set filtered views of my projects to see if they need to be reviewed. So I'm getting more advanced here, but I just want to show the potential in like scales. And what's great is then I can come into the projects, go, what have I got to do? Add tasks, blah, 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 fine, markers reviewed, and it updates the review date to today and I'm good to go. Yeah, so pretty powerful stuff. It's automating David Allen's idea of a weekly review. What that really means is in your calendar, have a time once a week where you go, I am doing the weekly review, and you sit down with your system and go, what have I got to review? And actually, like if I go to these are all the templates I've built, if I go to the actual one that is out, I've got a weekly review page where it just filters by due for review. So you can go in and see only stuff that needs to be reviewed. Yeah.
Can you also link that to your Notion calendar then, so that you know when something's coming up for review, so it blocks out that time?
Oh yeah, you probably could actually. Yeah, you can create a calendar view of any database on any date. I don't know if it works for a formula date.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking if I use this, it would actually just take time to put it in my calendar so that I don't have a call on the time I'm supposed to be reviewing.
I mean, personally, I just manage my time in a calendar separate to this, and I would just have blocked out busy time, weekly review in my calendar, which is what I've got. I just can't show.
Cool, yeah, that makes sense.
That's the easiest way, and then again, it's a habit, not a system, because you don't want to build a load of complicated stuff. I just need to make sure I always do it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I've run over time, haven't I now?
Can I ask you one quick one? Because you were talking about emails when we first in. Can you, because obviously I do a load of emails every day, I get in early, an extra half hour just to do one thing. It's just my way of doing things. But can you, with this, it's like some of the people you're delegating stuff to, or so-and-so the council is getting back to you. When you've got that, obviously they're not going to be on your Notion.
Well, in this, they would be.
They
Yeah.
would be, yeah.
So-
But if they can't be, or they're not, or they say, no, I can't be bothered, can you take it in as an email then, or do you just have to cut and paste and drop it in?
I mean, I think that just depends on how you want to work, right? If you have a team that you want to work with the system, you need to enable them to use the system.
Yeah,
and I
that's
guess,
what I would do, but there's
Yeah.
people outside of that that you're also dealing with.
in which case, you probably just need to set tasks to follow up.
Yeah,
You need to work out what your tasks are, because you can't control what they do, but you can manage them
Yeah.
and then set your own tasks, I guess.
I actually do something similar to that. which is I create a database of all of my clients, and then I'll just tag them. So they won't get notified, but I'll know who it's supposed to be going to, so I can see a view of what is assigned to that person.
Right, that would be
So
really
that I know
helpful,
to
yeah.
follow up with them. So although I can't invite them to Notion, I still know that it's assigned to that person.
Right.
So then you can just see who's assigned to what, which might be quite helpful, I think.
To wrap this up, because I've just realised that it flies by with that 15 minutes, I'm just going to complete my task just to show you that it then goes out of live tracking, and I can go to track this week and it shows me how long it's been taken. So that's my time tracker. And the final thing to say is, my final thing was how, and that's the how for me is having a knowledge base, which is what you were talking about. So this is where I capture notes, clippings, information, but I think the most powerful thing about Notion for notes and references is this, which is if I go to my actual workspace for better creating, which I do share with somebody else, where we manage I'm literally managing all of our video production within this with, sponsors, clients, editors that are linked to it. They're linked to seeing the pages of it.
You don't want to try to keep that in your brain, do you?
You can't, and it actually, it's really great because this is the main reason I've used it. But what's great about, to finish this off, is in this to-do view, we haven't been using this for a while, so that needs an update, that's exciting. Oh my god.
Hold Option and zoom out. Yeah, this is might need to.
Yeah, thank you. Essentially, these views are filtered by the user. So Colin, who's my colleague, will only get a view of his stuff, and I'll get a view of my stuff. So you can build a database that is filtered by everyone and just by you as well. And you can see how busy you've been with stuff. There's loads of things you can do.
More importantly, you see how busy Colin's been.
Colin's been busy, yeah. Okay, so that is where, what and how for organising and some tips for building. Hopefully that's helped.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. And sorry for going 10 minutes over.
No, that's absolutely unbelievable. And luckily this is being filmed, so I'm going to go back and watch that in slow motion, probably 8 or 9 times, to totally understand what it is that Simon just did. I'm going to take that mic back off you.
Yeah, I will say, some of that was to kind of give you ideas. I don't expect anyone to grasp all of that quickly, but I think it's a nice way just to kind of think about the principles, and maybe hopefully there's a moment in there where you went, oh, I could try something different and try that.
I think the UI thing was really cool. Yeah. Just like buttons and a back button. Because I'm always opening a new tab or going back. That's really cool.
For me, it's the home button and the